If you're a new or returning player looking for a great place to build your base in the exiled lands, then look no further. Here are 13 amazing locations to build your base in Conan Exiles. And we'll talk about locations that are beginner friendly all the way up to late game areas. Location number 1 I would say is one of my favorite landing spots outside of the desert, and that would be near the Sentinel Statues in H4. The main resources you're going to need early on are iron and brimstone, and with a brimstone cave nearby along with some iron, you really can't go wrong with that. In addition to that, you also have the sinkhole obelisk nearby, which will be vital for fast travel once you unlock the map room, as well as some coal nodes, exile camps, and a big old crocodile by the lake to your west. Definitely a good starting point. Probably wouldn't be best to travel back and forth in the later game, but if you want to build alongside this river here, I'd say this is one of the better spots. Location number 2 is not too far from this to the east, and that is Komodo Island on I-5. The main thing with this area for me is that it just looks really cool, and you can easily make an army of Komodo dragons from all the hatchlings you can capture there. On top of that, there's sometimes a random named thrall that will spawn by that lake down there, and if you don't have a lot of thralls, honestly they're not a bad start. Now in the surrounding areas you have iron and a thrall camp to the west, and a bit far to the east you also have some silver. Your closest obelisk is still probably the sinkhole obelisk, but at least here you're able to have easier connections to the desert, the jungle, and a northern access point towards the savannah. Overall, probably not the best late game base, but definitely a great place to build at the start. Location number 3 is next to the Warren of Degenerates. In terms of a permanent location but still beginner friendly, I would say this spot works for more than a few reasons, though it might be a bit of a challenge to get to as you'll need to run past spiders, crocodiles, and exile camps to get there. There's a cave full of crystals to mine, as well as imps that will drop demon blood, which is super important later, especially for building mapstones. You'll have copious amounts of iron to your south, you'll have easy access to the unnamed city for farming later on, as well as Shaleback Hollow, which will get you started in sorcery, but also has a lot of cool chests inside to loot. One con, which isn't super huge, is water around these areas are a bit shallow, so you really can't place fishing traps unless you go up or downstream. Note that if you do build near the cave as well, you may have a few imps or crocs invading your house, so it might be better to just build on the other side of the water. Another great location not too far, which is upstream, would be the river crossroads in the desert at G6. This location has a lot of the advantages that the Warrens have, but it's closer to the Savannah, the sinkhole obelisk, another crocodile boss, and you also have a thrall camp just up the hill to the west. Resource wise, you have a lot of iron and coal, and I'd say the biggest negative is that you're pretty much smack dab in the middle of the desert, so most biomes are going to be a walk, but I don't think it outweighs the advantages. Also, if y'all don't mind, don't forget paying that king's tax of 1 like or 1 sub, or membership really helps the channel out. Appreciate the support, y'all. Now let's take a trek over to the jungle for location number 5. I wanted to at least do one jungle location, and I would say my favorite has a similar setup to the river crossroads in the desert, and that's this little river junction in the jungle. I've only built in the jungle a handful of times. It's a cool zone, but there aren't many areas that I think are worth building outside of maybe Descent of Dagon. But being in or around the Descent of Dagon means easy thralls, easy iron, easy silver, and you're also close to an obelisk right up the mountain. On top of that, you have the pirates to the northeast, and sometimes if you're lucky you'll find a black Corsair elite thrall that you can get up there. Definitely not the absolute best thrall, but definitely popular. Location number 6 is where we start going to the northern part of the map, but still beginner friendly, and that is Sepermeru North in B7. Sepermeru is the main neutral town that you'll be able to visit without being attacked on site most of the time, and north of Sepermeru has a good location next to the water, so you'll have plenty of trees, you'll have aloe, you'll have iron directly next to you. The silver mine is a bit of a walk but not too far southeast of you. In addition to that, you don't have to go too far to find thralls, because you can subjugate them straight out of Sepermeru. And on top of that, there are a boatload of chests on the tops of the buildings that you can get good loot from easily. Lastly, you have decent access into the tundra from up here, but also access to the wine cellar dungeon just below the tavern where you can find Conan. This is definitely one of the harder dungeons, so make sure you're prepared before going down in there. Location number 7 will take us up into the highlands with G9 next to the lake and trapper camp. If you're looking for a good central place in the highlands away from all the sandstorms, then definitely consider this spot. You have iron and trees nearby, new Azagarth for farming and thrall hunting, and relative easy access to all the biomes around you. Biggest downside of this area and highlands as a whole, I would say, is that the closest obelisk to you is in the snow, tundra, or the sinkhole, so traveling back to your base is going to take some time regardless of which one you take. But that's just a highlands downside for the most part, so keep that in mind for the region going forward. Location number 8, which is personally my favorite highlands location, and that is Tethis Lake in H8. This little area here is hidden away in a little highlands nook, which means a lot of the advantages of living in the highlands may feel lost, but you'll have plenty of iron and coal around you, plenty of trees, and also a nice area to build an elevator which you can traverse straight down from your highlands base directly into the savannah. And with one of these elevators, you can take the sinkhole obelisk and travel to your elevator only a few squares away. There is also a little pocket in the corner of this area, conveniently called the pocket, and you can get some named thralls there, so not a bad idea to walk over there and clear the camp until you find someone worthwhile. I always end up building this area due to the elevator connection, resources, and overall just beautiful area. Speaking of the Savannah though, location number 9 is going to be in H7 directly next to the Savannah in the ruins of Al Mariah. If you love farming elephants, tigers, and rhinos, there aren't a lot of better locations. The Savannah is obviously jam-packed with animals, allowing for some easy thick hide collection, but you also have a handful of animal bosses that you can farm for weapons. Resource-wise, you have iron and coal southeast near another giant crocodile. You also have the Black Galleon to the east, which is also another great place for farming thralls. And also you're a lot closer to that sinkhole obelisk, as well as some of the giant sand reaver bugs for farming venom sacks and so forth. And it's north enough that I wouldn't consider this too far away from late game areas, but it's still a bit of a walk if you're going to the volcano or getting some star metal. Overall, another excellent location to build in. Now location number 10 is taking us to the edge of the snow, but still in the highlands, and that is the dam in G10. You'll have to climb a little bit to get up here, mostly because you're pretty much in the snow biome without having to deal with the cold itself. Resource wise, you have some trees, a little bit of iron and coal below you, and a few ice and black ice nodes to the north. One of the best things about this area though is you have the Black Keep obelisk close by to the northwest, and you're still able to farm New Asgarth easily if that's your thing. Overall a good endgame location, but these last 3 tundra locations have a lot of the benefits that the other locations don't have. Now location number 11 is the Skyholme Ruins in the DE10 region. And if you like the idea of building in a ruined town, this is definitely the spot. Resource wise, it's mostly just iron and trees out here, but my favorite feature of this area has to be that you're smack dab in the middle of the highlands, the tundra, and the snow. All big locations you're going to be traversing in the endgame. Location number 12 is C10 near the Circle of Swords. Now I might just be biased because those Circle of Swords look really sick, but similar to Skyholme, you're in a pretty central area in the tundra, but with a better connection to the Mounds of the Dead for thrall farming. Resource wise, you have iron and trees, star metal farming is nearby, and you have a decent route towards Sepermeru in the mountains. And my final location number 13, is in the Mounds of the Dead in the BC 1112 area. This location is definitely far from safe, bordering on some dangerous spawns from Cimmerians, ghosts, and saber-teeth, but those are also the advantages. You can get some really good thralls and weapons in Mounds of the Dead. There's also an obelisk in the Mounds of the Dead. You have all of the basic resources you need from wood, iron, coal, crystal, ice, black ice. And to top it off, star metal will literally fall from the sky in your backyard. And that's pretty hard to beat. Be sure to let me know your favorite spot to build in Conan Exiles if you have one. And if you want to see some more Conan Exiles content, be sure to check out the video on the screen right here. As always, don't forget to pay that king's tax of 1 like or 1 sub on your way out. And until next time, thanks for watching and take care.